Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Ride with Kai here, and this is my 2023 Tuono 660 factory. So I've had this bike for about 3 months now, and basically the goal with this project was to create kind of an OEM plus ultimate daily rider type bike while keeping costs at an attainable level for most people. So what I want to do today is talk about in really fine detail the components that I've changed on this bike, which is what we normally do on this channel. We normally get into the detail, so that way you're offered something that you're not gonna get from a vendor, you're not gonna really get from a forum post, and my hope is that it will save you guys money, it'll save you from buying a part that you don't really need or you're not really gonna be happy with. So let's go ahead and start up at the front. I get a lot of questions about this MRA windscreen. It is a little bit taller than the stock windscreen, however, not by much. So it does make a difference as far as wind protection goes, but not a ton. And I am of short stature, so anybody who's quite tall riding one of these bikes, I would recommend getting a taller windscreen. For me, I just like the way this one looked. See how it just has a slight rise to it, but it's not super tall. It doesn't ruin the kind of lines of the bike. But as far as functionally though, it's not much of an improvement over the stock one. Quality itself is very good. I would say quality wise, 8, 9 out of 10. I do like, it might be hard to come out on video, but now we got some light. You guys see a little better. Dot matrix are all these dots here. So what I like about that is most OEM glass actually also has dot matrix. So if you look at this Aston Martin windshield, it's got dot matrix as well, and most cars will. So it's a small thing, but it gives it a nice OEM look. Now, continuing with the OEM look are these turn signal cover caps. You can get these through AF1. They're kind of expensive for what they are, but what I like is the texture of the plastic and the sheen of it. It's exactly the same as the OEM plastic, so you don't even notice this is there. Again, adding to that OEM look. We deleted the front reflectors. You can also get these little covers from AF1 Racing. So when I do realize these are small things, the texture of the plastic, the sheen of the plastic, covering the little holes left over from where you remove the reflector. They're small things. However, if you want the bike to look complete, if you want it to look OEM, if you don't want it to look like it was just slapped together, you kind of have to pay attention to those little details. And a lot of times just buying these little caps and stuff like that, it's a small price to pay to make the bike look much better, to add that detail to that bike. For me, this next one is an absolute necessity with one of these bikes, and that's this. It's an OEM USB port. So look at how it integrates with the factory plastic. There's no wires showing anywhere. There's no plug showing anywhere. It's all plug and play. It has a weather resistant door on it. You barely even notice it's there with that door closed. Super nice setup. It's a necessity if you're going to be really using this bike for anything. Super nice job from Aprilia on that. Good job, Aprilia. Next one I would also highly recommend, and that's a steering damper. I'm using an Ohlins steering damper with a Jetprime mounting kit. So you guys can see, it's very easy to adjust the damper. You can just get it from the top. You can get it from the bottom as well. If you guys don't know, that gold knob is the adjustment. And to be honest with you guys, it's a little bit of a pain to put it in. You have to take apart a lot of the front end, and it is a little expensive, especially if you go with Ohlins components, but it's totally worth it, especially if you ride in areas where the roads are not so good. Here in California, we have some of the worst roads in the whole country. So I do have to ride over a lot of elevation changes and just ruts and stuff like that. This steering damper really stabilized the handlebars. It just really removes that motion when you're leaned over and you hit some type of bump along the way. However, since you do have to install some steering stops, which do come with the Jetprime kit, you do lose some range of motion in the handlebars. As you guys could see here, the range of motion is somewhat limited. Let me get a better view. It is a little bit limited, so I do hit full lock sometimes in parking lots and stuff like that, but all in all, I think the trade-off is absolutely worth it. Moving on to the CNC Racing mirrors. These mirrors, to be honest, they are a little bit large for my taste. However, they're very functional. What I like about these mirrors are there are stops. There's actually detents. So what happens is if you're splitting lanes or lane filtering and you need that, couple extra inches of space on each side, you can fold them in very easily. And when you want to redeploy them, they just go back to the setting that they were in. You don't need to readjust them. Whereas a lot of other mirrors, like even these Rizomas, which were way more expensive than those CNC Racing mirrors, I agree these Rizoma mirrors do look better, but when you deploy them, okay, you've lost the adjustment. You have to readjust this every time you fold these mirrors in. Now, to be fair, these mirrors are much smaller than the CNC Racing ones, so you probably don't need to fold them in as often, but the thing is if you do, and you ride the bike a lot, you lane filter a lot, or in California here, we could just straight lane split, these are a very good choice. The quality is very good. One thing I noticed though, I am getting a little bit of wear from the detent, so I don't know if at some point the detent will get loose, but for right now, I'm pretty happy with these. These are probably one of the better mirrors that I bought. Let's move on to the exhaust. So this is a Teentop exhaust. This exhaust is Chinese made, but the fit and the quality is really, really good. What I like about this exhaust is, see how the pipe diameter is stepped up here? So see how it comes off the cylinder head, and then you have this little step up in exhaust diameter size. That is just like the OEM exhaust, which I really like. It also has a balance tube. If you guys look there, it's got that little H pipe. That is a really nice feature as well. A lot of the other Chinese exhausts do not have that step up and do not have that balance tube. What also really drew me to this exhaust is I liked the triangular exits, which are like the OEM exhaust. So if you look really close, it doesn't fit 100% perfect. Now, some of the fitment issue is coming from the cover itself. This is an aftermarket, Maxi Carbon, carbon fiber cover, but overall, it's a really nice exhaust. I like that it looks OEM and it has a really nice growl to it. Let's go ahead and start it up real quick. And I didn't want a loud exhaust for this bike because, again, the intention was to make a daily, rideable bike. So I didn't want a super loud SC project, but this is what it sounds like. If you'd like to support the channel, check out my affiliate link and coupon code down below in the description for Dynamoto. Dynamoto has the best motorcycle stands on the market. They allow you to quickly and easily move your motorcycle in any direction that you would like. Best of all, it's very easy to get the bike on and off the stands. And now back to the video. So there you go. It's not bad at all. I haven't had any issues with leaks. I haven't had any issues with brackets snapping off or anything. The quality is quite nice. I'm not gonna say it's just as good as an SC project or something like that, but for what you pay, I'm pretty happy with this exhaust. It's got a nice growl to it. It's throaty. Under load, it actually sounds really good.
Let's see what it's got again.
Sounds much better than it does just kind of revving while stationary. And it really matches this bike. I don't want a 100 horsepower bike with a super loud exhaust. I just don't want that attention when it's just like a 100 horsepower commuter bike. Yes, I know they're capable, you can track them and whatnot, but I just don't want to be that guy. I feel like too, when I come home late or if I leave the house early, I'm not disturbing my neighbors with a super loud exhaust. This was a really good choice, and I think anybody who's in the same kind of thought process as me with their RS660 or Tuono 660, this is a good choice. Now, before anybody asks, yes, you do need a tune. You do need a flash with that exhaust. That exhaust is catless. So I used an Upmap with a Gabbro tune. For those that don't know, an Upmap is basically just a flash tool. It's just one of these, very simple. You just plug it in and flash the bike. For that exhaust, the recommendation is to either use the Acra flash with DB killer or just the standard race ECU. You guys probably noticed the carbon on this bike. This is all Maxi Carbon, carbon fiber in the matte finish. Now, to be honest with you, it did take some fitting to get this to fit the way it does now. And even at this point, it's not 100% perfect. It's not perfect, and carbon fiber just isn't going to be, but as you guys can see, with a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, you can get it to fit quite well, but not 100%. I've got the carbon exhaust covers also, which I was really surprised. Those fit really good. For such a complicated piece, it fit really well. I did notice this recently. It's got a little burn mark there. Not the fault of Maxi Carbon. I'm just trying to use this carbon exhaust cover, which is for an OEM exhaust with an aftermarket exhaust. But what I wanted to do here is just, you guys can see the rear hugger in carbon, fits very nice. It's got the provision for all your cables and lines and stuff like that. And this little carbon tank cover, it doesn't fit super good just because on these Aprilias, this part here is just like Velcroed down underneath. And to be fair, my OEM cover also fit like this. Just seems like eventually that Velcro just comes off. It's just a bad design on Aprilia's part. But basically what I wanted to do here was add as much visual impact as possible without spending a ton of money. I didn't want to spend money on carbon parts that you're not really gonna notice. So I basically focused on all the big parts, right? I mean, this is a pretty large part. That's a pretty large part down here, especially because the stock one is silver. So you really notice. And then this one up here, the tank cover, it's something that I see every time I ride the bike. So I just wanted to give the bike as much impact as possible without spending any extra money. Continuing to move rearward, this is a lightweight rear brake rotor. You can get these through AF1 Racing. I also have one on my RSV4. They're about a pound lighter than the stock brake rotor, so it's quite a significant weight savings for about $100, and it's very easy to put on. I'm totally happy with it. You do lose a little bit of rear brake power, but for most of us, we just kind of drag the rear brake in low speed maneuvers and stuff like that, or maybe you don't even use the rear brake, so not a big deal. On the other side of the wheel is a Superlite lightweight sprocket. This is a 45-2 sprocket, so this is +2 in the rear from a normal 660 Tuono factory. Normally you'd have a 43-2 sprocket in the back. This is a little bit lighter than the stock sprocket as well, which is nice, and as you guys can see, quality is very good. It actually makes the bike look a lot better just having that sprocket. I didn't really anticipate a visual impact when I bought that, but now that it's there, I really like it. Up front, there's a Superlite sprocket as well. It's a 16-2 sprocket, which is the same number of teeth as any other Tuono 660 factory. Going up +2 in the rear made a huge difference for this bike in a good way and also in a very bad way. So going with a 45-2 sprocket in the back and keeping that 16-2 sprocket in the front, plus the weight reduction from the lightweight rotor and the lightweight sprockets, right? That adds to it as well. The bike became a lot more lively. It became a lot more fun. It really hid that dead spot in the power band. So anybody who has an RS660 or a Tuono 660, you know what I'm talking about. You know you have that really pronounced flat spot in the middle of the power band. Even after you flash the bike, change the exhaust, it's still there. These bikes are they're just weak right in that 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 RPM. Once you get up to 7,000, it kind of goes away, but it's very, very noticeable. It almost feels like there's something wrong with the bike. Changing this sprocket really helped with that. It's still there, but it helped hide it. You kind of move past that dead spot much quicker. Obviously, the RPM does rise at cruising speed, which I don't really care too much as far as on the fuel economy side, but these bikes have really, really bad peg vibration. So when I changed the sprocket on this bike, cruising 90 miles per hour, which is the flow of traffic here in California, the peg vibration got way, way worse, and it was already bad to begin with. So what I did was I put these Puig pegs, which have, see, it's got this rubber isolator here to try to help with that vibration, and it did help. I would highly recommend you getting these pegs regardless of the gear ratio, because these bikes, the vibration is insane. It's ridiculous. It did help, but it was still there. This is an OEM Aprilia seat cowl for the Tuono 660 factory. It comes with this. However, I'll say if my bike didn't come with one of these, I think I probably would have just bought one of the imitation ones on Alibaba or eBay. They sell a bunch of Chinese-made copies of these seat cowls because the OEM one is quite expensive. It's about $300, whereas the fake ones are like 60 bucks. And the reason why I say I probably would have gone the imitation route is because the OEM version is it's just not that good. I mean, let me get closer. I mean, the whole thing squeaks, the whole thing rattles. It doesn't fit super good. You see these big gaps everywhere. I mean, I could actually see light coming through the bottom of the cowl. So you think about it, why do you buy an OEM part? You buy it for the quality, the way it fits, that it's not gonna rattle and squeak. Well, in typical Aprilia fashion, the execution is just not quite there yet, and I don't think it justifies the cost of buying one of those cowls. Let's look at my RSV4 cowl. This one actually fits even worse, and this is also an OEM cowl, but listen. I mean, look at how bad all that fits. So it's kind of like, you know, does it really matter? Does it affect the bike? No, it doesn't. But again, when you're paying that much money for something, it should fit correctly. Now, probably the component that bothers me the most on this bike is this tail tidy. This is a TST Industries tail tidy. It came with the bike. I've had experience with TST before on, if you guys remember the XSR 900 that used to be on this channel. That tail tidy was really nice, but this one is just not good. So if you look at this TST Industries aluminum plate is really nice. I really like the quality on this. It's a nice piece, but look at how the wires run. I mean, there's a little provision, there's a little hole in that aluminum cover to put the wires. I mean, really? Wouldn't it be better to, I mean, couldn't we run the wire like this way, maybe come out of a hole here or something like that, so you don't have this huge loom? And also, look at this. I mean, no tab, no detent, no nothing to keep the turn signals from sagging. So, and these nuts, these are plastic. So I end up having to tighten these every other time I ride basically, because if I don't, when I get off the bike, the turn signals will literally be like that. Another issue, look at this license plate light. So this license plate light, it's nice and bright and everything. Let me turn it on for you. Okay, it illuminates the plate good, so you're not gonna have issues with law enforcement or anything, but look at how it's mounted. Now you can't put any kind of license plate frame or anything here. It's just not a good setup. I think it has potential. And again, I've had good experience with TST Industries, but as far as this goes, I mean, this could be done much, much better. Tail tidy, it should just look OEM. This is a Moto Dynamic setup on my RSV4, and it looks like an OEM setup. The way the license plate light is, it's still plenty bright. You don't see any wires hanging down or anything. Let me step back a little bit. I mean, it looks like an OEM setup. It doesn't look aftermarket at all. Same goes with my Ducatis and stuff like that as well. Let's go to my Panigale V4. No wires hanging down, no sloppy aftermarket looking anything. It just looks like a nice OEM piece. It just looks clean. So there you have it. That brings me to a grand total of $2,729 just for the parts for this bike. I'll put a breakdown of the parts in the description below, but a little under $3,000 for all the parts. The bike itself, I bought used for $10,600. out the door. So all in for this bike, a little over 13 grand. Not that that's nothing, not trying to say that, but it's relatively attainable for most people. We're not talking about, you know, a $30,000 Ducati with a $10,000 exhaust on it and stuff like that. 13 grand, most people can kind of do, and you can have a bike like this if you choose the right parts and take the information that you get in this video and not waste money buying parts twice. At the conclusion of this build, the things that I feel are pretty essential to one of these bikes are definitely going to be the OEM Aprilia USB plug, the Ohlins steering damper with the Jetprime mounting kit, the Puig Footpegs with the rubber isolators, the CNC Racing mirrors. Just the OEM mirrors are just, they're super big, they're super ugly, they vibrate a lot. The CNC Racing ones, you retain that OEM mirror functionality, but look way better, they're lighter, they're not super expensive, they're not as cheap as some of the other options, but they're not $400 Rizoma mirrors either. They're pretty attainable. And then also surprisingly, I think I would do the carbon again as well. On Aprilias in general, they just have a lot of textured black plastic everywhere. It makes them look really cheap. To be fair to Aprilia, they offer you a lot for what you pay. So it's kind of understandable that you would have a lot of black plastic components like that, but spending a little bit of money on carbon in certain places really helps dress the bike up and really adds to the ownership experience. It just doesn't, it helps the bike lose that cheap feeling. Now, what I wouldn't do again, surprisingly, the exhaust and flash I probably wouldn't do again. Just the fact of the matter is, it's just a 100 horsepower bike. It is quick. You can get in trouble with it, definitely. I mean, an RS660 or a TUONO 660 will go over 140 miles per hour. So it's not that they're slow, but for the amount of money you have to pay for a flash and whatever exhaust you want to buy. I mean, I bought one of the cheaper exhaust systems available for one of these bikes, and just that tune and exhaust is like over $1,000 combined. So you do get the sound and everything, but again, ultimately, these bikes don't sound super good. I would say some of the SC Project exhaust, the louder exhausts, sound good on these bikes, definitely. But again, do you really want to ride a 100 horsepower bike with a super loud exhaust? Some people do, and I understand that, but I don't, right? So the exhaust and tune, even though it does make a difference, it is noticeable. I don't think that it's worth it on a bike like this. Sprocket, another item that I wouldn't do again. It does make a big difference performance-wise. It does add to the experience. However, the peg vibration is just horrible. So if you live in an area where, maybe you can cruise the freeway at 70 miles an hour, you might be okay. But anywhere where you kind of have big open roads, California, Texas, Florida, those types of places, Montana even, you're going to be cruising 85, 90, 95 miles per hour. And the peg vibration, it's unbearable. I would say, I've taken this bike out of town before. I would say within 30 minutes for me, my feet start getting pretty uncomfortable and I end up having to hang my feet off the pegs just to get some relief. Before we completely wrap up today's video, just want to take a second to thank the sponsors of this channel. That's Dynamoto, MyGP Racing, Gion USA, and Cardo Systems. So take a second, you guys, check out the affiliate links and coupon codes down below. If you feel like you've gotten anything out of today's video, if you feel like this video was helpful, make sure you hit the like, leave a comment below. For the next video, I've got a pretty big surprise for you guys. So I think you guys are gonna be pretty hyped about it. I know I am. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe for that. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you guys on the next one.